In this episode of Roma Custom Bike, we'll build the heat shield for the exhaust system and we can finally bring little D-Dog for a ride. In the last episode we built the foot peg for little D-Dog, and in this episode we'll build the heat shield so that his shoe won't get melted on the muffler. So I'll have to form a piece of aluminum to follow the curve of the exhaust, while leaving enough space between the two of them so that the flow of air will keep the shield cooler than the actual exhaust. But to work the aluminum in the CSC, you have to start from a flat piece. I start with the design. This has been inspired to a sticker that I had on the bike and I had to scrap when I did the paint job. But I loved it so much that I've decided to recreate it out of metal so that it will last forever and ever and ever and ever. Just like for the foot peg support, I started with a CAD design and the toolpath for the CNC machine. If you would like to see some details on the process, I suggest you watch the 2 episodes I did on this subject by clicking the video right down below. Now, to create a complex and detailed design, I like to use the engraver end mill, because it carves a groove only 0.5mm thick. For this project, I decided to use a 3mm thick plate, strong enough for the application and easy enough to shape. Once the machine is done, we're left with a rough flat piece that needs to be curved to a specific diameter. To facilitate the process and increase accuracy, I've decided to machine a bunch of wooden discs to match the pipe's diameter plus 1 centimeter to account for the ½ centimeter spacers on both sides. My CNC works wood much faster than metal, so the discs are ready real quick, ready to be screwed onto a threaded rod. So, this is the mold I'll use to curve the shield, but before bending it I want to hit it with a sanding sponge, cause this cleanup is much easier to do now with the piece flat. Once sanding is done, I put the piece in a vise using some scrap wood to save the aluminum from scratching. All it's left to do is use some muscle to put it into shape. The wood mold ensures a constant bend, and most importantly, the right size. When the vise starts to get in the way, I change position. I use a hammer and a piece of wood to spread the force of the hits while saving the piece from being marked by the hammer. One more repositioning, using more pieces of wood in any spot where the piece could touch the metal, and here we go. A few more hits and the shaping is almost done. But there is a problem. My design has a bunch of holes placed near the edge of the piece. The holes weaken the structure of the metal, resulting in little kinks in the bends and the misshaping of the holes that are now oval. To save the piece, I'll beat it into shape, but for the future, it would have probably been best to mark the holes with an engraver and then make the holes by hand after the piece is already bent. And here it is. I'm pretty happy with the results. And my old sticker can now live on forever! Just like for the foot peg support, it's now time for the polishing process, using the new polishing kit from www.lux-metal.com. The kit includes 3 wheels and 3 corresponding polishing compounds to gradually bring the piece to the perfect shine. I start with the first set of wheel and compound marked A for roughing. After about 5 minutes, this is the result. Then, after a quick switch to the blue wheel and compound, marked with the letter B, I start polishing again. After just a few seconds of work, you can already see the difference between the right side, polished with this wheel, and the left one, polished only with the previous wheel. But let's keep going. After another 5 to 10 minutes, this is the result. It's pretty shiny, but the reflections are still a little blurry. So let's continue with the last wheel and compound, marked letter C, for the final treatment. And another 5 minutes later, and the piece is done with a mirror finish. In this shot, you can see how clearly the screwdriver is reflected on the aluminum surface. Pretty freaking cool if you ask me. Here are a before and after treatment shots. You might notice that it even removed the markings from the CNC machine from the recesses. Pretty hard to reach with a regular sanding product. I want to give props to the guys at www.lux-metal.com for putting together a great product at a very fair price. Check out their site to find this kit along with all different size wheels and other restoration products for your bike and car. Now that the heat shield is ready, I gotta figure out how to install it onto the pipe. First, I printed out a paper template to make 2 retention brackets that will fit vertically between the screws. Then, I transferred the pattern on a piece of scrap steel that Polski Day just found at work. Thanks, Polski! For those of you that haven't seen the previous episodes, I like to use a punch to mark holes positions on metal. It will make your life so much easier when it's time to drill the actual hole. For the straight lines, I'm gonna use a hand grinder, and I'll finish the details with a bench grinder. Once the pieces are cut, I proceed with a stationary grinder to smooth out the corners. With steady and continuous movements, I grind off the excess material until I reach the desired result. Then it's time for the drill press. Thanks to the punch, the holes come out perfectly centered. I'm using the bolts as spacers, so the screws have to be the perfect length so that they will catch the thread, and at the same time they won't protrude out of the bolts. So I put everything together to mark where to cut the screws. The hand grinder makes it a quick and easy job. Finally, it's time for the final assembly. I start by positioning the clamps, then the steel brackets, and remember to use some strong thread lock, or you definitely will be losing your piece on the road. To wrap it up, I tie the bolts with a wrench, making sure that the screw heads are all aligned the same way. And there it is, the final product. I think it came out awesome, but let me know what you think. The installation on the bike is pretty straightforward. Open the clamps, fit them on the pipe. Ouch! That noise made my teeth itch. Ah. And now tighten the 2 screws and it's all done. And that's it. As you can see, I replaced the back steel bolt with a brass one, and I have to say, it looks kick-ass. With the bike turned on, I can check the temperature with a laser thermometer, and the shield is about half as hot as the pipe. So, mission accomplished! Now it's time to see what little D-Dog thinks about it. Okay, come here, buddy.
I'm holding on it.
I think that the look on his face is the best reward I could ever get. I'd like to remind you to leave your comments here on YouTube, click the like button, and if you really like the show, why not? Tell your friends. Remember to check out www.lux-metal.com for some great products. That's it for now. I'm Custom Cez, and I'll see you in the next episode of Roma Custom Bike.